pleasant good evening, hockey fans. Glad you guys could join us for our maiden voyage of ACHA tonight. We're recapping everything that's gone on over the course of the day one here at the 2019 ACHA National Championship Tournament, the Division I Men's League kicking off this afternoon. We'll talk about that as the night progresses. Matt Coma, Sam Fleming for this one. And Sam, it's been a fun first day, 4 games in the books, and we're off and rolling now.
What a great first day for the tournament. Started off with a great game between UNLV and Robert Morris Penn, and an overtime game to end the night. 4 really close games compared to last year. After some first day blowouts, it was great to see some competitive games all the way throughout the day.
Yeah, we'll have ACHA D1 Commissioner Brian Moran on as well coming up here in just a little bit. But first, let's take a look at the games that we saw today. We'll start in the morning. Let's take a look at the highlights from UNLV and Robert Morris, Pennsylvania, as they kicked off the 2019 Men's D1 Tournament this season. As we start out on the highlights, if we can... goal lead, but that's as close as they would get. 4-3 is the final score. Robert Morris gets outshot in this contest 30-35. It was a really close contest in this one, as UNLV just able to get enough to move on to the second day here at Nationals. And
RMU got the best start of the game that we've seen from a lower ranked seed, the 20th seed. They won their conference championship 4 in a row going into that game, and they had the best start moving the puck. They kind of surprised UNLV, but when Kozubski got his line going, ultimately the hat trick, that made the difference for UNLV just a little bit over the edge, and they got the win. Yeah, it's got to be pretty big for him getting a hat trick right on day one. You move into day 2 with that momentum, and you go into a tough game next against Ohio tomorrow, and it's a rematch of last year. A great rematch we should be able to see. It was a great goaltending battle last year. Giesbrecht and Jimmy Thomas, we could see those two tomorrow, but I'm looking forward to that one. A lot of energy going to be in there, a lot of emotion from that game I look forward to seeing. All right, so we'll see that at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. We'll talk about the rest of the games as we move on through the show. Let's move to the game number 2, as we saw Buffalo against Missouri State in the second game here in this some players ejected for roughing towards the end, but that was one of the more fun games to watch with the physicality, but also a very good defensive-minded team in Missouri State. A date with the defending national champions tomorrow, the Adrian Bulldogs. Yeah, they get to take on Adrian College tomorrow. One other note from that game, 11 skaters with at least a point for Missouri State. Got to be good when you're getting all the lines rolling. And that's the thing Missouri State's had all year rolling for them. They don't get production from just one player. It's all around from that team. It's a good team game from Missouri State, playing in that tough conference, the WCHL, and they did a good job getting that first win today.
All right, so Missouri State, as Sam mentioned, will take on Adrian in the next round tomorrow afternoon. Let's move on to game number 3, Oklahoma and Drexel this afternoon, as we take a look at the highlights from that one. The win 5-4 here in regulation time. As Oklahoma gets the win, they move on to the next round, but they get a tough test as well. They have to play Michigan Dearborn in the next round.
Michigan Dearborn, one of those sleeper teams in that top 4, maybe people looking at Lindenwood and Adrian, but I like what Dearborn brings to the table, but Oklahoma can be a team that can skate with them. They had a tough one there at the end, almost a scare, a last-second shot that rained the crossbar for Drexel, almost went in to send it to overtime, but Oklahoma moving on to face number 2, Michigan Dearborn.
All right, and we always save the best for last here in the ACHA. The nightcap here, Jamestown and Robert Morris out of Illinois, and we were treated to quite a show here.
What a game this was behind us.
As we take a look at the highlights in this one. First, Jason Richter goes hard in the net. Another puck luck one, Sam, there as they get the goal here.
Take goals any way you can get them at the national tournament. A little bit of puck luck gives Jamestown the early lead. Unable to find it was the Robert Morris goaltender.
So that would make it 1-0 Jimmy's. Robert Morris comes right back, though, as that shot by Turner Sepiritis goes off both posts, but cleaning it up is Jake Nitschke.
A little bad luck at first, but you've got to crash hard to the net. That's the key about getting traffic out in front. Big rebound on the backhand to tie it at 1.
That made it a 1-1 contest after 20 minutes of play. Second period now, Eagles on the power play, and they get a rebound goal.
And the first lead for them in a big rebound to get both goals off of rebounds, and that was key for RMU to take the lead. And for there, it looked like they were getting a little bit of momentum in their favor after that goal.
Sam Mancini puts the Eagles up 2-1. That's where we stand after 2 periods of play. We move on to the third, we stay in the second. Jamestown trying to level the score before the period ends, but Semchak comes up with a big, huge save for Robert Morris.
And that was huge by Semchak. A lot of traffic out in front from Jamestown and even his own players, but he's able to get some help. He covers that up.
All right, now we move to the third period. Jamestown looking to score, and it's Tyler Chavez-Leach that gets the game-tying goal.
Yeah, and Chavez-Leach just going hard to the slot, throws a quick shot through the 5-hole. Big goal for Jamestown to tie that game.
That means we go to overtime. It took a while to find that winner, but just in the final stages of the overtime, it's Michael Cacciato, the game-winning goal for Robert Morris.
And a big goal for Cacciato again. A lot of backdoor feed. Again, we've seen a lot of those goals today, and a key one for Robert Morris, the first seed that was lower to win a game today here in the national tournament.
The 16-17 games, always the tight contest. 3-2 the final score in this one. Robert Morris gets the win. They move on. Tough task. We'll talk about it in just a minute. Shots 55-43 in this one, Sam. We saw a lot of pucks on net.
To go from that Missouri State-Buffalo game where there was not many shots to having almost 100 shots on goal, it was an incredible game, very back and forth. Each team had a lot of A-plus scoring chances, but in the end, Robert Morris buried the best one that they could, an overtime winner.
And on the flip side, 6-2 the penalty minutes. Not a lot of penalties. Referees letting them play. A lot of shot opportunities. Just a good flowing game in this contest.
Absolutely, and that overtime period was very exciting all the way until the end. Each team had a really good chance to possibly move on tomorrow to face the #1 ranked team, the Lindenwood Lions, the 3-time national champions again tomorrow. the nightcap.
Before we get to the bracket, what can we say about Tyson Brown that hasn't been said? The kid was unreal, 52 saves tonight, and he really kept his team in it.
He kept Jamestown in it till the end. Unfortunately, gave up that OT winner for Robert Morris, but he played phenomenal. Some on the doorstep chances, and you've got to give him a lot of credit. Browning, phenomenal in net, and that was huge for the Jimmies.
All right, so the play-in round is done. We're down to the round of 16 now that kicks off tomorrow as we take a look at the top half of the Division I bracket, as the ACHA will continue its tournament here at the Comerica Center tomorrow. So we take a look at the top half of the bracket. UNLV slides into that 4-13 matchup, and they get Ohio, another rematch of next year.
And I think that's the game that I'm looking forward to the most. A rematch of that one last year. Went to overtime. Very exciting. Again, one of the best goaltending matchups from that tournament in Columbus. But I've also got my eye on that Minot State-Illinois game. Again, Illinois, the team that was the national runner-ups. Minot State knocked off by Illinois in the semifinals. So those are the two to watch in that top half of the bracket for me.
Other two games, Iowa State hosts Stony Brook, and Adrian will take on Missouri State, who got by Buffalo this afternoon. What do you see in those two games?
I do see Adrian being the favorites against Missouri State, but don't sleep on Missouri State. They're very strong defensively. They could come out, maybe put a little bit of shock into Adrian. And then Iowa State and Stony Brook. I expect that to be one of the faster-paced games of this tournament. Two very good speed game teams. Again, Stony Brook has one of the most active defenses that we saw last year in that national tournament.
All right, let's take a look at the bottom half of the Division I bracket as we take a look at the top two seeds in Lindenwood and Michigan Dearborn. As we take a look at these one, Oklahoma slides in. They had to hold off the Storm against Drexel. It doesn't get any much easier when the Wolverines come into town tomorrow.
Absolutely not. They're going to have to come out quick. They're going to have to try to generate a lot of special teams opportunities if they can. Also be patient with the puck. Don't try to complicate the game too much if you're Oklahoma. Keep it simple. Keep it to the way you've played.
On the other side of the bracket, we get another rematch from last year's national championship as Lindenwood takes on Robert Morris in that 1-17 battle. Again, we mentioned Robert Morris, the only lower seeded team to win on day one here at the D1 Nationals. And Liberty and Arizona, I think that's going to be a really good game. It's an 8-9 game, so you always think that's going to be competitive, but I expect that one to be pretty good.
That's the one that on the bottom half I'm looking forward to the most. Liberty's a team that they lost their two top scorers, but they just keep building for the future. Guys like Brock Thompson on that team, one of the players to watch. But that's going to be the game. A lot of energy, a lot of emotion should be in that one. Liberty, Arizona, my one to watch there.
Yeah, don't sleep on Davenport Central, Oklahoma, too. The Broncos, always a solid program. They come here year in and year out. Davenport as well. And if you kind of look at that, if you do get the upsets to go their way, you could have an Oklahoma battle down here in the Lone Star State.
And that would be quite the game against Central Oklahoma, two-time national champions, 2015 and 2017. How exciting would that be? A rivalry in hockey, Central Oklahoma and Oklahoma. I think a lot of fans would like to see that, but they have to get through Davenport and Dearborn to get there.
All right, so we are through one day here at the 2019 ACHA National Championships. Division II starts tomorrow. Division I kicks off the round of 16 tomorrow as well. We'll break that all down coming up here on ACHA tonight. We're still rolling along. We'll take a break. When we come back, the Division I Commissioner, Brian Moran, will join us and give us the state of the Division I as they get ready to host the round of 16 here at the Comerica Center. So don't go away. You're watching the ACHA tonight, our maiden voyage here tonight here on the ACHA Network. Don't go away.
guy's not ready. You're not ready. Let's go!
Hockey heads, are special, which is why we protect them with a helmet designed, built, and tested to endure real-world hockey impacts.
Skating was hard at first. Sometimes I fell, but I always got back up. Now when I'm skating, I feel like a rocket, or maybe a race car. Something really fast. It's my second favorite feeling. Scoring is my favorite. I think I like it even more than birthday cake.
And welcome back to ACHA Tonight, recapping the day that was here at the 2019 ACHA National Championship Tournament down here in Frisco, Texas. We're inside the Comerica Center, Matt Coma, Sem Fleming, and we're joined by the commissioner of the top division in the ACHA Men's Division 1, Brian Moran, nice enough to join us on the program. First off, thanks for coming on, Brian.
Glad to be here.
So just your initial thoughts on what you've seen so far. We're one day in, and some pretty good, exciting hockey we've seen so far.
Today's kind of like the warm-up day for everybody here with the TV and the teams as well. Obviously, every day we go further on, it's going to get better and better. But I think some people were surprised today by the scores. You got some people out there that were thinking there are going to be some blowouts, but we were here today and we had 4 good games as far as I was concerned. I thought some of the teams matched up pretty good. You had a 6 seed out of the tournament. CHMA champ Robert Morris. They did themselves proud today. They played very good.
Man, it's
We enjoyed our time in Columbus those 2 years, and we're going to move it around. So we'll be here this year and next year as well. Obviously the weather's great. I'm not complaining about that. A little chilly right now in the rink. I'd like to be outside, but that's life in the ice arena business.
Well, that's got to be pretty exciting when you have the tournament here in a city in Frisco where it's pretty warm outside. Like Columbus, we're going outside, it's 10, 15 degrees outside. Instead, it's nice 75 degrees outside.
Yeah, well, I'm from Detroit, so Columbus wasn't that bad either. I would enjoy the warm weather and love to be outside, but I know my business is going to be like you guys. We're going to be inside this rink for the next 5 days. Tomorrow and then Saturday and then the semis on Monday and the championship, and then Monday Tuesday going to be exciting because we're going to have the Division II down here as well. So I think that's going to be kind of a cool event playing at the same time.
All right, well, I know I can't wait for it. It's going to be a fun rest of the tournament here. Of course, all 5 divisions are down here in Frisco as well. D2 kicks off tomorrow. D1's here at Comerica Center the rest of the tournament the next 5 days, I believe. 4 or 5 days.
So they all run in together.
No,
so.
they all kind of bleed over into each other. Brian, thank you so much for joining us here on ACH tonight, and have fun the rest of the way.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, we'll preview tomorrow. D1 and D2 in action tomorrow. We'll break it down next here on ACHA Tonight.
There are a few things that come along that change the course of history. Inventions or developments that reshape society. They usually aren't appreciated at first. In fact, they're often scoffed at. What good will that be?
Hello? Hi.
Surely that can't be practical.
She loves to see you.
But then, slowly, over time, the greatness of these achievements become manifest.
Hi!
Until one day, you ask yourself how you ever lived without them. That's the nature of turning points. They bring us to new roads and new heights. They open doors we never thought possible. So it's important that we go forward together.
I'm here with Gina.
That our growth
She's
might
okay.
not just benefit the great, but the good also. In small ways, and in grand ones.
The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little.
At Wilson Electronics, we push every day to amplify the power of communication, to connect those who love and those who cannot live without it.
And welcome back to ACHA Tonight, your stop for all access ACHA. We're here every single night during the 2019 ACHA National Championship Tournament. I'm Matt Coma. That is Sam Fleming. We just broke down D1, and now we get to move on to day 2. The D1 tournament really picks up, and we add Division 2 to the mix.
What a great time for the ACHA. Again, a great first day. Tomorrow should be even better, starting up the D2 tournament, and we'll also see some great matchups. The play-in teams now get to face the top 4 teams in ACHA Division 1. Looking forward to a lot of these matchups tomorrow.
All right, let's take a look at the D1 schedule first. We'll see what's going on here at Comerica Center for this here at the D1 rink. First off, you'll have the early game. You have Ohio taking on UNLV. We've talked about it a couple times. It's a rematch of an overtime game from last year. That kicks off at 10 a.m. Central Time. You'll find it here on the ACHA Network on YouTube. What do you expect, Sam?
I expect maybe UNLV to get a little bit better of a start than they had today. Maybe try to get out with a little more energy. It's a chance for redemption for them against Ohio. But for Ohio, first game in the tournament, they'll be well rested. I think we'll get a great fast-paced game as, of course, UNLV played the morning game today.
All right, and then at the 1:30 time slot, we get to see our first look at the defending national champions, Adrian, winning for the first time a season ago. They take on Missouri State to open up their Division I play.
And Missouri State had a strong defensive game, but they're going to have to be even stronger against the defending national champions, a team that lost the MVP of the tournament, Austin Raudebusch in net, but they continue to build for this year, and they look to become the first team to be back-to-back national champions since 2009 and then 2010, which was the Lindenwood Lions. So keep your eyes on Adrian. Again, I think that's the team to watch still in this national tournament.
Moving down the ladder, we go at the 5 o'clock time slot. It's Michigan Dearborn. I think is the favorite to win this entire thing. They have a stacked roster from top to bottom. They get the Oklahoma Sooners first tomorrow.
And they have a tough test. Even though Oklahoma, the 15th ranked team in this tournament, I think that's the toughest test Dearborn could have drawn. And again, but one of the deepest teams in the Michigan Dearborn Wolverines. I think that's going to be one of the games to watch tomorrow night at 5 o'clock.
All right, and then our nightcap tomorrow. We are always expecting a great nightcap. This one shouldn't be any different as Lindenwood, the top seed, And the overall favorite to win this year's tournament, they take on Robert Morris University out of Illinois, a rematch of last year. They get the final time slot tomorrow.
And it'll be interesting to see how Lindenwood handles the pressure of being the #1 seed in this tournament, Matt. And I think that's going to determine how they set the tone for the tournament as the #1 seed. But can Robert Morris, Illinois, pull off an even bigger upset, a slight upset against Jamestown just on the ranking numbers alone? But that would be even bigger if they happen to shock Lindenwood.
So the top 4 seeds take on the play-in games tomorrow. The other half of the bracket will take place on Sunday, as you'll see that all here on the ACHA network. Be sure to turn into every game right here on our YouTube channel. Let's take a look at the Division II slate for tomorrow as they get
Will be interesting to see how they handle first game of the D2 tournament. We saw a great one to start the D1 tournament. We'll see how these two teams handle it.
Yep, the morning slate has all the 2-3 games. We'll see the 1-4 games in the afternoon, as we'll see in just a moment. But Northeastern against Penn State, 2 former rivals maybe just from just across the way. They get after it at 10:30. Utah State, New Hampshire. That's a rematch that they've seen each other a couple of times as well. And then Lindenwood sends another team to nationals. They get their D2 squad that takes on Cincinnati tomorrow.
That should be an interesting game to see. We'll see how the D2 team for Lindenwood handles their first game in the tournament. Could be interesting. Could Lindenwood have 2 teams win a national championship at 2 different levels?
And Lindenwood, of course, making it to the national championship game a season ago at the D2 level, losing to Florida Gulf Coast, who has really been on a tear. We'll take a look at the other four games that are going on at the Plano rink, just to our maybe southeast-ish a little bit from here where we are in Frisco. So we take a look at the night slate starting at 4 o'clock Central Time. NC State making a surprise run through regionals in the southeast region. They take on UMass, who's been dominant all season long.
And actually, that NC State game, I was up there in their championship game. They had to win a late goal, and it'll be interesting to see how they take on a UMass team, a pretty solid team. That should be an exciting matchup, maybe one of the ones to watch on the D2 slate.
And at 4:30 as well on the other side of the rink, we have Montana State, who's been the media darling from the ACHA's perspective. We've all heard the story of them being snowed in Montana, having the airline fly them to regionals, not only just to get their. They were expected just to lose the first day. They win all 3 days and get to nationals, but they run into Aquinas the first day.
We'll see if that Cinderella story can continue. Does it happen like almost one of those NCAA tournament Cinderellas? But that would be key for Montana State. A big start of the national tournament, but Aquinas, a tough team that they'll have to come up against.
Yeah, Aquinas, one of the favorites in the D2 flight this season. Florida Gulf Coast is always the top team, the team to beat. They get the 7 o'clock time slot. They take on Marion, who's kind of a dark horse in this tournament as they come as the 4 seed out of the Central.
Again, defending national champion in Florida Gulf Coast. How do they handle coming back to the national tournament after winning it last year? It'll be interesting to see against Marion, a team that's, as you said, a little bit of a dark horse. But look for Florida Gulf Coast to have a strong start.
And then we end up the night at 7:30. Northern Arizona takes on Keene State. The Ice Jacks, they've been to nationals year after year after year, but have never gotten out of their pool. They're trying to do that this season.
And it'll be interesting to see, can they finally break the drought? Can they finally get their first national championship at the D2 level?
All right, that's a look at the slate tomorrow. We have 12 games on the docket between Division I and Division II. It's going to be a busy day tomorrow.
Very busy day, and you can watch it all here on the ACHA network. Should be some great broadcasts. Very much looking forward to seeing all these games and seeing who comes out the victors.
Yep, so we'll take one final break. When we come back, we'll have your 3 stars of the night, and we'll say goodnight here on day 1 at the 2019 ACHA National Championships. We'll put a bow on everything when we come back. You're watching ACHA Tonight right here on the ACHA Network.
Enter the workforce with an edge with a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Jamestown. With this undergraduate program offered at our Jamestown campus, you'll benefit from smaller class sizes, more one-on-one time with our caring and committed faculty, and a core curriculum designed to enhance communication skills with state-of-the-art labs and software. Become a more well-rounded critical thinker as an engineer with a Mechanical Engineering degree at the University of Jamestown.
Come on! You know the answer. You studied for this. Come on. Timmy! Come on, Timmy. You got this, son. Pencil to paper.
Focus. To be focused. Focus. Take the puck. There you go. Skate. Skate. Pass it. You call that a pass? What are you doing? You missed the puck. Come on.
Enter the workforce with an edge.
And welcome back to ACHA tonight. We're putting a bow on things. Matt Coma, Sam Fleming, as we get ready for day 2 tomorrow. 12 games on the docket. It's going to be a fun one, Sam.
12 games starting bright and early, 10 a.m. Looking forward to seeing all 12 of them tomorrow. Some great teams in action. I think we're going to have a lot of good games as well. We'll see how some of these play-in teams from D1 handle the top 4 teams in the ACHA Division 1.
Yep, 12 games on the docket. You can catch them all on the live streams. You can go back and watch them, or just join us here on ACHA tonight. We'll break them all down tomorrow night. We'll have Brett Luthner and the guys from D2 joining us tomorrow night on ACHA tonight. Also, Dave Kurtz, Division 2 Commissioner, will be joining us tomorrow on the program as well. It should be a fun time here on ACHA tonight. Before we go, time to look at our 3 stars of the evening. As we take a look at it, your 3rd star of the night, we talked about it, Tyson Brower, a rough way to go in that overtime game, but 52 saves on 55 shots.
Especially at the ACHA level and here at the national tournament, incredible effort in the loss. He kept Jamestown in that game all the way through the overtime period.
2nd star of the night is Eugene Lim from Drexel, another losing effort, but 4 points. He's technically the leader of the entire league right now.
And look at where Drexel was. They were down 3-0 at one point to Oklahoma, and Eugene Lim led a huge comeback, potentially almost to overtime for Drexel.
And then your number 1 star of the night, Joe Kazubski, he took over that game against Robert Morris from Pennsylvania, a hat trick in that win against the Colonials.
And when calling that game, Kazubski was the difference maker. Again, he took a little bit of a hit at the end of the game, which saw him go to the bench, but he looked fine. He'll be a big factor tomorrow for UNLV in that matchup with Ohio.
All right, before we go, Sam, thing you're looking forward to the most tomorrow?
I think the thing I'm looking the most forward to is seeing how the defending national champions will fare. That would be Adrian for men's D1 and Florida Gulf Coast for men's D2. I think if they can get a good start to this tournament, could they make a defending run? It'll be interesting to see, but also how the number 1 seeds hold it as well. Lindenwood, will they be the team to beat this year?
All right, well, that's going to do it for us here on ACHA tonight. We'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us. We'd like to thank Brian Moran for joining us as well. We can't wait to see you guys again tomorrow. We'll be here every night through all 12 days here at the ACHA National Championship Tournament. It's going to be a fun one, and we'll be here for the entire ride. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you again bright and early for day 2 here from Frisco, Texas. Good night, everybody.